Have you ever stopped to wonder what it really takes to stay strong, clear-minded, and full of energy into your 90s? To still drive a car, remember where your keys are, and not fall sick, not even a cold, for over 30 years? It sounds almost unbelievable, doesn't it? But here's the truth. It's not luck. And it's certainly not perfect genes. It's 5 simple habits, 5 daily choices that I've practiced, refined, and lived by for more than 3 decades. These aren't secret formulas hidden away in some clinic. They're backed by science, easy to follow, and they've changed everything for me. In this video, I'm going to walk you through those 5 habits, starting with something that takes just 90 seconds every morning, and ending with a nighttime ritual that scientists say might even help reverse the effects of aging. So whether you're in your 30s or your 70s, whether you're trying to regain strength or simply want to avoid future illness, this could be the turning point. And let me tell you this up front. I've seen the power of these habits with my own eyes. They didn't just keep me out of the hospital. They kept me feeling alive, alert, capable, and connected to the life around me. If that sounds like something you want too, then stick with me to the very end. I promise you, what you're about to hear can change the way you age, the way you move, and the way you live. Before we dive in, though, I'd be grateful if you hit the like button. It helps me continue sharing lessons from a long life, and it lets me know you're here with me. Ready? Let's begin this journey together. One small, powerful habit at a time. Morning mobility. Let me ask you this. How do you start your mornings? Is it with a rush to the bathroom, eyes half shut, coffee barely brewing before your day has already taken control of you? That used to be me. At 60, mornings felt like a burden. I'd wake up stiff, my legs heavy like concrete, my mind trapped in a fog that wouldn't lift. One day, I tripped over my own slippers. Not because I was clumsy, but because my body wasn't ready. My feet hadn't fully woken up. That moment changed everything. I realized something vital. If I didn't send my body a clear message that it was time to rise and engage, it would stay stuck in sleep mode all day. So I made a small promise to myself, 90 seconds, just a minute and a half of gentle movement before anything else, before news, before emails, even before coffee. And that tiny commitment turned into a powerful habit. I stretch, I roll my ankles, I rotate my arms, and wake up my spine. It's not yoga, it's not intense, it's simply my way of telling my body, we're awake now. Let's move with purpose today. And the science backs it up. According to the National Institute on Aging, older adults who practice daily mobility routines experience stronger balance, higher energy levels, and better mental focus throughout the day. Even short, low-impact movements can reduce inflammation, improve joint health, and regulate blood pressure. The Mayo Clinic has published similar findings, showing how just a bit of morning movement helps lower stress markers and increases circulation, especially for older adults. But beyond the science, let me tell you what I've lived. When I skip it, which rarely happens, my body lets me know. My knees creak, my back complains, I feel slow and cloudy. But when I move, even just briefly, everything wakes up. It's like flipping a switch inside me that says, let's go. The beauty of this habit is that anyone can do it. You don't need special equipment. You don't even have to get out of bed. What matters is intentionality. You're not just stretching, you're setting the tone for your entire day. Most people think aging happens all at once, like some sudden cliff you fall off after retirement. But the truth? Aging happens in quiet, invisible moments, in the little choices we make or don't make every single morning. And you get to choose. So tomorrow, before the world pulls you in 100 directions, take just 90 seconds to check in with your body. Stretch, breathe, move. It's not just movement, it's momentum. And momentum is what keeps you not just living longer, but living stronger. The golden glass. After my morning mobility, there's one thing I never skip. Not a day, not for 30 years. It's a warm glass of water, golden in color, simple in ingredients, but powerful in what it does. I call it the golden glass. And it's been my first line of defense against illness for decades. No, it's not some fancy supplement or expensive powder with a label you can't pronounce. It's just warm water mixed with 3 humble ingredients: lemon juice, turmeric, and a pinch of black pepper. That's it. But the impact? Incredible. Let's break it down. Fresh lemon juice is rich in vitamin C, which fuels your immune system by boosting white blood cell production. That's your body's first defense against viruses and infection. And beyond that, lemon also stimulates bile production in your liver, helping your digestion work like it should, especially important as we age and our stomach acid naturally declines. Then there's turmeric, the vibrant yellow root that's been used for centuries in traditional medicine. Its active compound, curcumin, is one of the most potent natural anti-inflammatories we know of. It helps ease joint pain, reduces oxidative stress, and supports heart and brain health. Hundreds of peer-reviewed studies have confirmed it. But here's the catch. Curcumin is hard to absorb on its own. That's where black pepper comes in. Just a pinch of it contains piperine, a compound that increases curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. Without the pepper, most of the curcumin would just pass right through your system. Together, these three ingredients form a synergistic trio that jumpstarts your day, supporting digestion, calming inflammation, and priming your immune system. And making it takes less than 5 minutes. Heat a cup of water until it's warm, but not boiling. Squeeze in the juice of half a lemon. Add a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric. Sprinkle a small pinch of black pepper. Stir it gently, then sip slowly. That's all. Simple, affordable, natural, and most importantly, consistent. I started drinking this because I was tired of catching every little bug, every winter ache and sniffle. I used to get sinus infections regularly, and my digestion was always sluggish. But after just 2 weeks of making this a habit, I noticed my body changing. No more bloating, fewer aches, sharper energy in the mornings. And over time, something remarkable happened. I stopped getting sick, not even a cold. Now, I'm not saying this drink makes you invincible. I still get exposed to germs like everyone else, but my body no longer rolls over and lets them in. It's ready, it's strong. To me, this golden glass isn't just a health drink. It's a signal to my body every morning. We're taking care of ourselves today. We're starting fresh. We're ready. You don't need fancy pills to stay healthy. What you need is ritual, a small, intentional act of self-respect repeated daily. So tomorrow, after you stretch your body awake, pour yourself a golden glass. Not just to feel good in the moment, but to build a body that stays strong for years to come. Healing walks. Every day, rain or shine, I walk. Not far, not fast, but always with purpose. It's just 15 minutes. No headphones, no phone, no distractions. Just me, my breath, and the steady rhythm of my steps. And I call it my healing walk. Because that's exactly what it's done for me. It's healed parts of me that medicine never could. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Walking? That's it? But don't underestimate it. Walking is the most underrated medicine we have. In my 60s, I used to jog. I thought staying healthy meant pushing harder, sweating more. But over time, I realized that effort doesn't always equal benefit, especially as we age. What we need is balance, and walking brings it. Every time. One study from the British Journal of Sports Medicine found that just 20 minutes of walking reduced levels of C-reactive protein, a key marker of inflammation. Another from Stanford showed walking boosts creativity, memory, and clarity more than sitting or even pacing indoors. But I didn't need a research paper to convince me. I learned it the hard way. One day, 25 years ago, I skipped my walk. I was busy and told myself I'd make it up later. But the day slipped away and I didn't go. That evening, for the first time in years, I felt old. Not just tired. Old. My knees ached, my mind was foggy, my digestion felt off. It was as if skipping that one simple habit disconnected me from myself. And I knew then, walking wasn't optional, it was essential. So now it's a non-negotiable, like brushing my teeth or eating breakfast. I walk, I put on supportive shoes, I start slow. I focus on my breath, inhale for 4 seconds, exhale for 6. I swing my arms gently to open up my posture. And one thing I always do, I smile. Not because I am in a great mood every time, but because smiling activates the vagus nerve, a powerful regulator of inflammation, heart rate, digestion, and even emotional balance. One study in psychosomatic medicine found that smiling while walking actually amplifies the stress-reducing effects of the movement. So I walk, I breathe, I smile, and in return, my body thanks me. My joints loosen, my shoulders relax, my mind clears, my energy resets. Some days I walk around the block. Some days it's just the hallway. It's not about the distance, it's about showing up. And that's the beauty of this habit. It meets you where you are. Whether you're 40 or 90, strong or struggling, you can walk. And every step tells your body, we're still moving, we're still living, we're still capable. So if you feel stuck or foggy or fatigued, don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for sunshine. Just lace up your shoes, step outside, and begin again. Because motion is life, and every step is a quiet declaration, I still can. Protein-packed breakfast. After my walk, my body is awake, my mind is clear, and it's time to fuel up. But not just with any breakfast, not with toast and jam, not with cereal from a box. Those left me tired, foggy, and hungry again by mid-morning. What I needed was something deeper, something substantial. So I began a new habit, one that's now a pillar of my health, a protein-packed breakfast. My go-to is simple but powerful. 1 boiled egg, a cup of full-fat Greek yogurt, a small handful of walnuts, a sprinkle of fresh blueberries. That's it. No bells, no whistles, just real, whole foods that work together to do something extraordinary, feed both your body and your brain. Let me explain why. After age 60, your body becomes less efficient at absorbing and using protein. That means if you're not intentional, you'll start to lose muscle. Even if your weight stays the same, you'll feel weaker, more tired, less sharp. That was happening to me, and I didn't even realize it until my doctor pointed it out. He told me something that changed the way I looked at food. Protein isn't just for athletes. It's a lifeline for aging well. The research agrees. According to the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, older adults who get 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal enjoy greater muscle mass, fewer hospital visits, sharper cognition, even longer lifespans. That's not hype, that's science. Let's break down this breakfast. Eggs are one of nature's most complete proteins. They contain all 9 essential amino acids and are rich in choline, a nutrient critical for brain function and memory. Greek yogurt provides calcium for your bones, probiotics for your gut, and more protein to support tissue repair and immune health. Walnuts offer healthy fats, especially plant-based omega-3s, and a powerful punch of antioxidants that protect your cells from aging. And blueberries, those little blue gems, are loaded with compounds that fight inflammation and support brain health. But beyond nutrients, this breakfast does something else. It stabilizes my energy. Before I made the switch, I used to crash around 11 a.m., sluggish, irritable, distracted. Now, I sail through my mornings with calm, steady focus. I'm sharper in conversations. I remember names. I finish tasks without needing more coffee. It's not magic. It's balanced fuel, the kind your body actually needs. And here's the best part. It's flexible. Sometimes I swap in cottage cheese with flax seeds for more fiber. Other days I'll add grilled chicken to a slice of sprouted toast. Or I'll make a warm lentil scramble if I want a plant-based option. But the rule never changes. Prioritize protein. This one meal sets the tone for your day. It's like filling your gas tank with premium fuel instead of fumes. And your body? It notices. Every cell in your immune system, your muscles, your brain, they all run on the building blocks that protein provides. And here's what I've learned over the years. Your body doesn't care about what you didn't do in the past. It only responds to what you give it today. So tomorrow morning, as you think about what to eat, remember this. Don't just eat to stop hunger. Eat to stay strong. Eat to stay sharp. Eat to stay young, on the inside and out. That's what my breakfast does for me, and it can do the same for you. Before I open the newspaper, before I check a single message, I take 3 quiet minutes, just for my mind. I call it mental tuning. It's not meditation, it's not therapy. It's something simpler, and for me, even more powerful. It's a small daily ritual where I sit down, close my eyes, and visualize the kind of day I want to have. I don't focus on traffic, the weather, or what's on my schedule. I focus on how I want to feel. Calm, strong, focused, resilient. I picture myself walking through the day with ease, driving safely, speaking clearly, handling small frustrations without losing my center. I imagine smiling during a conversation, breathing deeply when faced with a challenge, feeling light, steady, and present. It might sound simple, but make no mistake, this is backed by science. Neuroscientists at Harvard have shown that vivid mental imagery activates the same areas of the brain as the real-life activity. And research by Dr. Joe Dispenza has found that over time, this kind of visualization rewires your brain, training it to default to clarity and calm rather than chaos and worry. And worry? That's the real enemy. Chronic stress is one of the greatest threats to healthy aging. It raises cortisol levels, which damage brain cells, disrupt digestion, weaken the immune system, and even accelerate muscle loss. In older adults, stress doesn't always show up as panic or fear. It sneaks in as fatigue, forgetfulness, irritability, or that general sense of being off. But here's what I've discovered. You can fight back. Not with pills, not with control, but with intention. Those 3 quiet minutes each morning help me lock in a mindset that guides me through the rest of the day. They are my shield against stress, my daily reminder that while I can't control the world, I can control how I move through it, and the effects are more than mental. After weeks of practicing mental tuning, I noticed changes. My blood pressure dropped, my digestion improved, I got better sleep, my immune system felt stronger, I was more resilient to colds, to fatigue, to setbacks. A 2016 study from the University of Wisconsin-Madison found that just 5 minutes of daily mental rehearsal in adults over 65 reduced anxiety, improved focus, and even boosted immune response. The effects lasted for weeks. This became personal for me when a friend, same age, similar health, suffered a sudden heart issue. He lived in a constant state of stress, news headlines, finances, everything. After his hospitalization, he asked me how I stayed so even-keeled. I told him, worry is a thief, and mental tuning is how I lock the door. It's how I begin each day with peace instead of pressure, strength instead of stress. So now I ask you, what would your day look like if you chose the tone before the world did? You don't need incense or a quiet cabin in the woods. Just 3 minutes. Sit still, breathe, and imagine yourself moving through your day with strength, purpose, and calm. Because the mind, just like the body, needs practice. And when you tune it, daily, intentionally, you set the frequency for everything else in your life. Inspiring conclusion. So now you've heard them all. The 5 habits that have carried me through more than 30 years without illness. The habits that at 92 years old still have me driving, walking tall, and waking up with purpose. And here's the truth. None of them are complicated. None of them require a lot of money. None of them are reserved for people with perfect genes or perfect discipline. They are simple, intentional, repeatable. Let's look at them one more time. A 90-second morning movement routine to wake the body gently. A warm golden glass of lemon, turmeric, and black pepper to fight inflammation and boost immunity. A daily healing walk that restores the mind, joints, and energy. A protein-packed breakfast to fuel your brain, muscles, and mood. And just 3 minutes of mental tuning to calm your mind and set your emotional compass. That's it. No fads, no hacks, just consistency. Because health doesn't fall apart in a day. It slips away when we ignore the little things, when we skip the walk, settle for sugar, numb our mornings with stress, or tell ourselves maybe tomorrow. But the good news? Health also returns, in small, quiet moments of care. A single stretch, a single step, a single sip, a single choice to begin again. I'm not sharing this to impress you. I'm sharing it to remind you of something I've learned the hard way. You have more control over how you age than you've been led to believe. You don't have to surrender to stiffness. You don't have to accept foggy thinking. You don't have to fear every cold season. You can build strength. You can stay sharp. You can stay in motion. If I've learned anything, it's this. Your body listens to what you do every day, not once in a while. So start small. Start now. Before the noise of the world rushes in tomorrow morning, take a moment for yourself. Move, sip, walk, nourish, breathe. And if you ever doubt whether it's too late, let me be your reminder. I'm 92, and I still can, and so can you. Now that you've heard my story and the 5 daily habits that have shaped my life, I want to hear from you. Which one spoke to you the most? Was it the morning stretch, the golden drink, the healing walk, the protein-powered breakfast, or the quiet moment of mental tuning? Leave a comment below and tell me, which one are you going to try starting tomorrow morning? And if you're still watching with me right now, type "I still can" in the comments. Because that's the truth and the power you carry, no matter your age. If this video gave you a new perspective or even a little hope, I would be grateful if you could hit the like button. It helps me continue sharing these life-earned lessons with others who may need them too. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss future videos filled with wisdom, stories, and practical advice for living strong, aging well, and finding joy in the process. Because this isn't just about adding years to your life, it's about adding life to your years. So tomorrow, before the world wakes up, take one small step in your favor, just one. You don't need perfection, you need presence. And in that presence, you'll rediscover something precious: strength, clarity, purpose. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your spirit. And remember, no matter where you are on your journey, you still can. Have you ever walked into a room and felt drawn to someone? Not because of their looks, their clothing, or anything they said, but because of something unseen? Something you couldn't quite describe, yet it held you in quiet awe? That, dear friend, is the power of silent attraction. As we age, the world often fixates on what fades: youthful skin, quick steps, the sharpness of memory. But what if I told you that growing older doesn't diminish your attractiveness? In truth, it deepens it. It refines it. It transforms it into something far more profound and lasting. Because at 70, 80, or beyond, your charm is no longer in what people see, but in what they feel when they are near you. It's in the calm you bring into the chaos. It's in the warmth of your smile that reaches the eyes, and in the quiet confidence that doesn't need to boast or convince anyone of your worth. It's in your lived experience, etched in every wrinkle, every silver strand of hair. You carry stories, you carry wisdom, you carry grace. This is not a video about how to look younger or pretend to be someone you're not. This is about becoming irresistible without speaking a word. It's about cultivating a presence so grounded, so luminous, so at peace with itself, that others can't help but be drawn to it. There's a magnetism that lives in stillness, a radiance in kindness, a beauty in authenticity. And here's the truth: the older you get, the stronger this force can become, if you choose to nourish it. In this video, I'll walk you through 12 habits that don't just make you likable, they make you unforgettable. Not through loudness, not through performance, but through the quiet, unwavering light that shines from within when you live with intention, gratitude, and self-respect. So whether you're 70, 80, or anywhere in between, know this: you don't need to chase attention. You don't need to prove your worth. You are the lesson. You are the presence. You are the wisdom others long to sit beside. Stay with me until the end. Let's explore how to become silently attractive together. Radiate positivity. Picture this. You enter a room, and before you say a single word, people feel something shift. A quiet calm settles. The air feels lighter, softer, somehow safer. That is the effect of someone who radiates genuine positivity. And no, I'm not talking about forced cheerfulness or pretending everything is fine when it's not. True positivity isn't a mask. It's not a denial of life's difficulties. It's a choice to carry light even when you've walked through darkness. At your age, you've seen so much: joys and heartbreaks, achievements and regrets. Life has tested you in more ways than most will ever know. And yet, you're still here, still choosing to smile, still choosing to greet the world with warmth. That, my friend, is powerful beyond words. A smile that comes from your soul, one that touches your eyes, has the power to melt walls people didn't even know they'd built. It says, "I see you. You're safe here." And in a world so full of noise, fear, and judgment, being that kind of presence is magnetic. Radiating positivity isn't about ignoring pain. It's about acknowledging it and choosing to respond with grace. It's found in the way you encourage others, the way you pause to truly listen, the way you look for solutions instead of sinking into complaints. It's in the simple gestures: a compliment to a stranger, a kind word to a family member, a quiet patience with yourself. You don't have to be the loudest in the room to inspire others. You just have to be steady, optimistic, hopeful. When people are near you and feel more peaceful, more themselves, that's a legacy more beautiful than any possession or accolade. That is silent attraction at work. And here's the secret most people miss: positivity is contagious. The way you handle a setback, the way you speak with kindness, the way you carry your energy, it teaches others without you even realizing it. You become a mirror for what is possible when life is lived with an open heart. Especially now, at this chapter of your life, radiating positivity is a gift not only to others but to yourself. It lifts your spirit, it strengthens your body, it softens the aches of the past and opens space for joy, right here, right now. So if you've ever doubted whether your presence matters, let me tell you clearly: your energy is felt. Your attitude sets a tone. and your light can still light up someone's darkest day. That is what it means to be quietly, profoundly irresistible. Practice active listening. There's something profoundly healing about being heard, not just nodded at, not simply tolerated, but truly, fully seen and understood. And at your age, you hold a rare and beautiful gift, the power to offer that experience to others. We live in a world where people talk endlessly, but listen rarely. We interrupt, we rush. We wait impatiently for our turn to speak, thinking that our story matters more. But real connection, the kind that lingers long after the conversation ends, comes from the art of listening. And not just any listening, active listening. That means showing up with your whole heart, your whole attention, and your full presence. When you sit with someone, be it a grandchild sharing a dream, a friend whispering a fear, or even a stranger in passing, you have the power to make them feel like they are the only person in the world at that moment. That is a rare kind of magic. Put down the phone, turn your face toward them, let your eyes say, "I'm here, I'm listening, you matter." Even a small nod, a gentle, "Tell me more." A silence that says, "I'm not in a hurry." These speak volumes. And as you do, something remarkable happens. The person in front of you begins to soften. They open, they trust, because you are not just hearing their words, you are hearing their heart. This is a superpower, especially in your later years. You're no longer in a rush to impress. You don't need to win arguments or prove anything. You know that the greatest strength often lies in quiet empathy. You also know something younger people are still learning. Sometimes the most loving thing you can offer isn't advice, it's presence. You may never realize how much impact your listening has, but to the one who needed it, your calm attention could be the difference between isolation and hope. And just as much as others need to be heard, so do you. Active listening invites reciprocity. When people feel safe around you, they begin to listen back. They care more deeply. They open themselves to you, and trust blooms. This is how relationships deepen. Not through grand gestures, but through small, sacred moments of "I hear you. I understand, I'm with you." So yes, practice this, not just occasionally, but as a way of being. Let listening become your legacy. Let your silence speak comfort. Let your attention be the gift that turns ordinary encounters into unforgettable connections. Because in the end, it's not the stories we tell that make us irresistible. It's how gently we hold the stories of others. Master the art of conversation. Conversation is more than words. It's more than idle chatter or polite exchanges. At its best, conversation is connection, a bridge between souls, a dance between two hearts, each taking turns to lead and follow. And at your stage of life, you have a treasure trove within you. Experiences, stories, insights, truths, each one holding the power to illuminate, to comfort, to inspire. But the true art of conversation isn't just about sharing those stories. It's about creating space for others to share theirs too. A masterful conversation is not a performance. It's an invitation. It begins with presence, with showing up not just to speak, but to connect. It begins with curiosity, with wondering what someone else might teach you, even if they're decades younger. It begins with humility, with knowing that every person you meet carries something you don't know yet. So, how do you elevate an ordinary exchange into something meaningful? Start by going deeper than the surface. Instead of "How are you?" try "What's brought you joy this week? What's been weighing on your mind lately?" These are questions that invite reflection, that say, "I care about what's underneath." And when you speak, speak with intention. Let your stories carry warmth, not ego. Let your words be thoughtful, not rushed. Let your wisdom serve, not shine. Be mindful of balance. Conversation is not a monologue. It's not an arena for proving who's right or who knows more. It's a partnership, a rhythm. One person breathes in, the other breathes out. Ask questions not to fill silence, but to show interest. And then listen, not to reply, but to understand. Make space for pauses. Don't rush to fix, to judge, or to compare. Let people be heard. Let them be real. And in return, allow yourself to be real too. Because when you share not just your highlights, but your vulnerabilities, your doubts, your regrets, your hopes, you remind others that they are not alone in theirs. That's what people crave today. Not perfect conversations, but honest ones. Not cleverness, but connection. And here's the quiet truth. In a world so consumed by noise, a genuine, soulful conversation is one of the rarest and most attractive things you can offer. You don't need to speak the most. You only need to speak with heart. Because the words that linger are not the loudest. They are the ones spoken with warmth, truth, and intention. So speak kindly, listen deeply, ask sincerely. Let every conversation be a chance to see someone and to let them see you. And in doing so, you'll discover you don't need to be charismatic to be unforgettable. You just need to be real. Cultivate a sense of humor. Life, as you know well by now, doesn't always go according to plan. We forget things, we trip over our own feet, we burn the toast, we say the wrong name, we misplace our glasses, only to find them sitting right on our head. And sometimes, all you can do is laugh. That laugh, gentle, knowing, unbothered, is not just sound, it's strength. Because humor at its deepest level isn't about being funny. It's about perspective. It's about learning to see the light, even when things get dark. A good sense of humor is not loud. It's not attention-seeking. It's not about telling the best joke in the room. It's quiet resilience. It's the ability to smile at life's imperfections and at your own. When you laugh at yourself, at your forgetfulness, your quirks, your humanness, you give everyone around you permission to be imperfect too. And suddenly, people breathe easier. They feel more relaxed. They open up. You become approachable, not because you're flawless, but because you're real. And you know what? That's irresistible. There is something deeply attractive about someone who doesn't take life too seriously. Someone who can shrug, chuckle, and say, "Oh well, that's life." Humor dissolves tension. It breaks down walls. It lifts the spirit, even in the middle of sorrow. Sometimes, the most memorable moments are not the planned ones. They're the silly ones. The unexpected. The slightly embarrassing. The ones where laughter came out of nowhere and reminded everyone, we're alive, we're human, and we're in this together. Especially now in your 70s or 80s, humor can become a healing force, not just for others, but for you. It softens the edges of grief, it lightens the heaviness of change, and it reminds you every day that joy still lives inside you. So laugh often, laugh gently, laugh from the belly. Find humor in the daily chaos, in the things you used to get frustrated about. Share stories that make people giggle. Poke fun at yourself with kindness. Let your laughter be the music that others remember long after you've gone quiet. Because someone who can smile through the storm, who can laugh at spilled coffee or a forgotten name, that's someone who radiates peace. That's someone people want to be around. In the end, life is not measured by how perfectly we lived it, but by how many times we chose to smile through the mess and help others do the same. So let that be your gift. Let your joy be contagious. Let your humor be the spark that lights up a room. Because even in silence, a warm, heartfelt laugh can say, I've lived, I've learned, and I still love this life. Maintain a well-groomed appearance. There's a quiet dignity in taking care of yourself. Not for vanity, not to impress, but as a simple, graceful act of self-respect. At this stage of life, you've earned the right to be comfortable in your own skin. You don't need to chase trends or pretend to be someone else, but choosing to present yourself with care, that speaks volumes before you ever open your mouth. When you step out into the world, even if it's just to the garden, the cafe, or a family visit, what message do you send with your presence? A neatly brushed head of hair, clean, well-fitted clothes, a light scent that makes someone pause and smile. These are not just superficial details, they are symbols. They say, I still care. I still honor the day ahead of me. I value myself, and I value you. Because how you present yourself isn't just about how others see you, it's about how you see yourself. Think of the confidence you feel when you wear something that makes you feel put together, even at home. Think of how a little grooming, shaving, moisturizing, wearing your favorite shirt can lift your spirit even when the world feels heavy. These small rituals aren't frivolous, they're healing. They ground you. They affirm that you still matter. They remind you that your body, your presence, your existence are still worth showing up for. And here's the secret no one tells you. People notice. They may not always say it out loud, but they feel it. They feel your effort. They feel your respect. They feel your pride, not the boastful kind, but the quiet, powerful pride of someone who still values their place in the world. You don't need expensive clothes. You don't need to look young. You only need to look like you, at your best, as defined by you. Let your appearance reflect the wisdom within. Let it show that you are still living with purpose, with presence, and with care. Because when you walk into a room, hair brushed, eyes kind, clothes chosen with love, you become a reminder. A reminder that aging is not fading, it's refining. And there is nothing more attractive than someone who carries their age not with apology, but with elegance. So go ahead, iron the shirt, shine the shoes, wear the perfume, not because you have to, but because you can. And in doing so, you teach the world something quietly powerful, that growing older is not the end of beauty. It's the beginning of something deeper, richer, and far more enduring. Be authentic. There comes a time in life when you no longer need to wear masks, when you no longer feel the pressure to fit in, to please, to perform. That time is now. In your 70s, 80s, and beyond, you've earned the most beautiful freedom of all, the freedom to be authentically you. Not the polished version you once thought you had to be, not the role society told you to play, but the real you. Flaws, wisdom, softness, scars, laughter lines, and all. Authenticity is not loud. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't try to be liked. It simply is. And in its quiet confidence, it becomes one of the most irresistible forces on earth. When you walk through life owning your truth, speaking from your heart, sharing what matters to you, choosing what aligns with your spirit, people feel it. They trust you. They're drawn to you. Because deep down, we're all searching for someone who gives us permission to be real. And when you show up as yourself, unpolished but honest, it tells others, you can be yourself too. Being authentic means honoring your values even when they're unpopular. It means laughing at your quirks instead of hiding them. It means saying, I don't know, when you don't, and not being ashamed of it. It means not watering yourself down just to make others comfortable. And yes, it takes courage. You may have spent decades accommodating others, holding back your voice, wearing the right face for the right occasion. But here now, at this beautiful chapter, you get to lay all that down. You get to say, this is who I am, I've lived, I've learned, and I am no longer afraid to be fully, truly me. And that is magnetic. Because there's nothing more attractive than a person who is at peace with themselves, who no longer chases approval but walks with quiet assurance, who isn't trying to impress but simply to connect. When you are authentic, you create real relationships, not ones built on pretense but on truth, not ones shaped by expectation but by genuine presence. And maybe, just maybe, that authenticity becomes your legacy, the thing people remember most when they think of you. She was real, he never pretended. With them, I could be myself. So don't shrink, don't bend, don't wear a mask. You've spent a lifetime becoming the person you are. Now let the world see you just as you are. Because in the silence of self-acceptance, you become more attractive, more compelling, more unforgettable than you ever imagined. Embrace your age. Look in the mirror, not with judgment, but with reverence. The reflection staring back at you isn't something to fix, it's something to honor. That silver hair, it's not a flaw, it's a crown. Those lines around your eyes, they're the map of every moment you've laughed, cried, overcome, endured. You are not past your prime, you are in the richest season of your life. In a world obsessed with youth, it takes courage to stand tall and say, I am aging, and I am proud of it. But aging is not about loss, it's about depth. It's about knowing who you are, what matters, and what no longer needs your worry. When you embrace your age, you stop chasing shadows, you stop apologizing for growing older, and you begin to celebrate it. Because every year you've lived has added something to you. A lesson, a relationship, a heartbreak, a triumph. You are not who you were at 30 or 50. And thank goodness for that. You are more now, more aware, more grounded, more whole. And that wholeness is beautiful. It's magnetic. You see, people aren't just drawn to youth, they're drawn to presence, to someone who is settled in their skin, who walks without pretending, who exudes calm, wisdom, and grace. That's the kind of attractiveness that doesn't fade. That's the kind that grows stronger with time. So don't try to erase your age. Embody it. Wear it like a badge of resilience. Speak with the voice of someone who has lived and who no longer needs to prove anything. Let the world see the power of a person who doesn't fear getting older, but who walks through the years with open arms and an open heart. And when you do, something beautiful happens. You become a beacon for others. You show younger generations that life doesn't end after 60, 70, or 80. It deepens. It softens and strengthens all at once. So if you've been told that you should hide your age, fight it, cover it, I invite you to do the opposite. Let your age speak. Let it sing. Let it shine through every gesture, every wrinkle, every word of wisdom you share. Because aging is not something that happens to you, it's something you become. And when you embrace your age fully, with pride and tenderness, you radiate a quiet confidence that is more powerful, more irresistible than any youth ever could be. Be generous. There's a kind of beauty that isn't worn on the body, but carried in the heart. A kind of presence that doesn't announce itself, yet quietly transforms every space it enters. That beauty is generosity. And at this point in life, you already know, true wealth isn't counted in coins. It's measured in moments, in kindness, in how you show up for others when it truly matters. Being generous isn't about giving away everything you have. It's about giving what matters most, your time, when someone feels forgotten, your attention, when someone just needs to be heard, your wisdom when someone is lost, your presence when words simply aren't enough. And perhaps the most beautiful thing about generosity is this: you don't need an audience. You don't need applause. The truest kind of giving is often done quietly, humbly, with no expectation of anything in return. Because generosity isn't a transaction, it's a way of being. A way of saying, I've walked far, I've stumbled and risen, and I want to leave behind more than just footsteps. I want to leave behind light. In your 70s or 80s, you hold something that can't be bought: perspective. You've seen what really matters. You've learned that the greatest joy often comes not from taking, but from offering. Whether it's a warm meal shared, a handwritten note sent without reason, or simply the patience to sit with someone who's grieving, confused, or lonely, these are acts of love. Quiet love, lasting love, and they make you unforgettable. Generosity also has a way of multiplying. A simple act of kindness from you could change someone's entire day, maybe even their life. And they may carry that kindness forward to someone else, and then another, and another, until a whole chain of good begins with one soft, unspoken gesture of yours. Isn't that something? That you, just by being thoughtful, kind, and open, can leave behind a trail of hope? So give, not because you have to, not because you want to be noticed, but because you can. Because you understand now that the most meaningful life is not one that gathers, but one that gives freely and with love. Let your legacy be one of open hands, open heart, and open doors. Because when you are generous, not just in what you give, but in how you love, you become someone people don't forget. Not for what you had, but for what you shared. Be patient and understanding. There's a kind of strength that doesn't raise its voice, a kind of wisdom that doesn't need to speak at all. It lives in your silence, in the gentle way you wait, in the compassion in your eyes when someone else is struggling to find their way. That strength is patience. That wisdom is understanding. And they are among the most powerful, quietly attractive qualities a person can carry, especially in later life. You see, as we grow older, something beautiful happens. We begin to see the longer view. We stop expecting life or people to be perfect. We understand that change takes time. Healing isn't linear, and growth can look messy. You've lived through seasons of hardship, of waiting, of hoping. You've had moments where things didn't go your way, where people didn't understand you, where nothing made sense, until years later. And because of that, you now offer others a kind of grace the world so desperately needs. Where once you might have rushed to judge, now you pause. Where once you might have demanded answers, now you listen more closely. That is a gift. When someone is fumbling with their words, or failing to meet expectations, or just not moving at your pace, you don't push. You don't scold. You hold space. You say with your presence, "It's okay. Take your time. I understand." And that simple, quiet patience, it's healing. It's rare. It's unforgettable. Because so many people go through life feeling rushed, pressured, or judged. But when they meet someone like you, someone who gives them room to be human, they remember. Not what you said, not what you did, but how they felt in your presence. And it goes beyond just other people. This patience, this understanding, also turns inward. You begin to forgive yourself more. You stop demanding perfection from your past. You learn to say, "I did the best I could with what I knew." And that tenderness toward yourself radiates outward. It teaches others that they too can be gentle with themselves. You don't need to fix everyone. You don't need to have all the answers. You only need to be there, steady, kind, and open. Let your life experience be a lighthouse, not a searchlight. Guide, don't chase. Support, don't control. Listen, don't lecture. Because in this world of fast reactions and quick tempers, someone who responds with calm understanding is magnetic. Someone who listens first and loves anyway, that's the person everyone feels safe around. So, be patient. With others, with yourself, with life. Because you already know, everything unfolds in its own time. And when you choose to meet the world with empathy and stillness, you don't just become admired. You become trusted. You become remembered. You become someone whose presence speaks long after you've left the room. Live with purpose. There is a quiet kind of power in waking up and knowing why you're here. A soft, steady fire that lights your spirit from the inside. Not for applause, not for recognition, but because you're still becoming, still offering, still living. That fire is called purpose. And no, purpose isn't reserved for the young or for those chasing great ambitions. In fact, some of the most meaningful purpose begins later in life, when the noise fades and the truth of what really matters becomes clear. Purpose doesn't have to be a grand mission. You don't have to build empires, write books, or lead revolutions. Sometimes purpose looks like this: being the steady presence your family leans on, passing down wisdom only you could know, planting a garden you'll never see bloom because you believe someone else will enjoy the beauty, offering a kind word to a stranger just because the world needs more kindness. Purpose isn't measured in size, it's measured in meaning. Ask yourself, what brings me joy even in stillness? What gives me energy even when the body feels tired? What makes me feel like I'm exactly where I'm meant to be? It could be mentoring, creating, listening, praying, teaching, serving. It could be simply choosing to live each day with intention and grace. When you live with purpose, something changes in you. You walk differently, you speak differently. There's a light in your eyes, a calm in your voice, a strength in your presence. People feel it, even if they can't name it. You begin to wake with more peace, go to sleep with more gratitude, and move through each day with a quiet sense of direction. Not because everything is easy, but because everything has meaning. And when life gets difficult, and it will, your purpose becomes your anchor. It reminds you that you are still needed, still useful, still filled with wisdom this world can't afford to lose. There is no too late for purpose. If you are still breathing, your life still has work to do. Maybe not the kind you once did, but a deeper kind. A kind that touches hearts, a kind that brings healing, a kind that ripples far beyond what you can see. So don't let anyone tell you your best days are behind you. Don't let a quiet house or slower step make you believe you've been forgotten. Because if you live with purpose, if you do what matters with love, you will never be invisible. You will be radiant. You will be the kind of person who doesn't just exist, but inspires. Who doesn't just age, but leaves a mark. So ask yourself each morning, what can I offer today? What matters now? And then go offer it. Fully, freely, joyfully. Because when you live with purpose, you don't just grow older, you grow deeper. And that, more than anything, makes you quietly, unmistakably irresistible. Appreciate the simple things. There is a certain beauty that slips past the hurried mind, a quiet kind of joy that only those who have truly lived long enough will notice. It's in the first sip of warm tea on a cool morning, in the way sunlight dances across your kitchen table, in the sound of bird song, just before the world fully wakes. These moments are easy to miss, unless you've learned, as you have, to slow down and see them. To appreciate the simple things is not to settle for less. It's to realize that so much of what we were chasing was never what we truly needed. Because joy isn't always found in big events or grand achievements. Sometimes it's tucked inside the most ordinary of moments, a soft blanket, a shared laugh, a handwritten note from someone who still remembers your name. You see, when you're younger, life moves fast. You're always on your way to something. But now you have the gift of stillness, of noticing, and that is sacred. When you stop to breathe in the scent of flowers by your door, when you listen, really listen, to a grandchild's story, even if it wanders, when you close your eyes at night and feel thankful for nothing more than the roof above and the peace within, that is grace, that is presence, that is life in full bloom, and it's magnetic. People are drawn to those who live slowly, deeply, mindfully, To those who are content not because life is perfect, but because they know how to see what's good. In a world rushing toward more, you become a calming force, a reminder that sometimes less is everything. So savor your meals. Let the tea steep slowly. Let the silence between conversations be part of the music. Let your gratitude rise, not from what's missing, but from what already is. Because when you appreciate the simple things, you glow with something rare, a peace that doesn't need permission, a joy that doesn't need explaining. And when people meet you, they may not understand it at first, but they will feel it. They will feel safe, seen, slowed down just enough to breathe again. So never underestimate the power of quiet appreciation. It teaches others how to live. It reminds them that beauty isn't rare, it's just rarely noticed. And you, with your gentle pace and grateful heart, become living proof that the small things, they were always the big things. Be a role model. You may not realize it, but someone is watching you, a grandchild, a neighbor, a stranger on the bus, someone who sees the way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the way you listen, the way you respond to life, and they're learning from you. That's the quiet influence of being a role model. It doesn't come with fanfare or spotlight. It happens in small, almost invisible ways, every single day. At this stage of your life, you carry something extraordinary. Not just memories, but meaning. Not just stories, but lessons. You've walked through storms and made it to stillness. You've loved, lost, fallen, risen. You've learned what matters and what never really did. And now, the way you live those lessons is your legacy. You don't need to preach. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be real, to live with integrity, to treat people kindly, to stand tall when life is hard and bend gently when grace is needed. You've seen enough to know that strength isn't loud, it's steady. That leadership isn't about authority, it's about example. That wisdom isn't in giving all the answers, but in showing others how to ask better questions. Being a role model is less about what you say and more about what you do when no one's looking. When you choose patience instead of frustration. When you extend forgiveness, even when it's hard. When you speak with warmth instead of bitterness. When you keep showing up for life with courage, even on the quiet days. These moments, they shape people, they shape generations. You may never know whose life you've touched simply by being who you are, but I promise you have, and you still are. Young people today are searching for wisdom, for grounding, for hope. And you, without needing to try, are offering all three. Your presence says you can get through this, I did. Your actions say kindness still matters, so does respect, so does truth. And when you share your stories, not just your victories, but your missteps, your growth, your humanity, you give others permission to be human too. This is what it means to lead without leading, to teach without teaching, to guide just by being. You become a lighthouse in someone else's storm, not because you had all the answers, but because you lived through the questions and stayed kind anyway. So don't underestimate your influence. Your example is powerful. Your legacy is already forming, and it's not written in stone or savings accounts. It's written in hearts. Be a role model, not by trying to be extraordinary, but by being exactly who you are, with love, with courage, and with grace. Because in the end, what people will remember most isn't just what you taught them, it's how you made them want to be better. Conclusion: true irresistibility. So here we are, at the end of this gentle journey through presence, character, and silent strength. And perhaps you've begun to realize something, that true attractiveness, the kind that doesn't fade with age, the kind that lingers long after you leave the room, has nothing to do with the lines on your face or the pace of your step. It has everything to do with who you are when no one is watching. It's the way your eyes soften when someone's in pain, the quiet wisdom in your words, the steady kindness in your actions, the way you carry your years not as a burden, but as a badge of grace. You've spent a lifetime becoming this version of yourself, and now this is your time to live it fully, not chasing approval, not grasping for youth, but standing tall in the beauty of your being. You are not invisible, you are not forgotten, you are not past your prime. You are ripe with presence. You are overflowing with insight. You are exactly what the world needs more of. Genuine, grounded, gracious souls who radiate warmth just by being themselves. So let your smile be real. Let your voice be steady. Let your silence carry weight. Let your authenticity shine so brightly that others feel safer to be themselves in your presence. You don't have to speak loudly to be heard. You don't have to look young to be beautiful. You don't have to impress to be admired. Because your silent attraction is your truest superpower. And if you take just one thing from all of this, let it be this. You are still becoming, still glowing, still teaching, simply by living with love, humility, and intention. So step into each day with the quiet knowing that your presence matters, and when someone meets you, really meets you, they'll walk away a little calmer, a little wiser, and maybe even thinking to themselves, I hope I can be like that someday. Because you are not just aging, you are becoming unforgettable.
Have you ever noticed the growing distance between an older woman and her husband? It's something that often lingers in the air, whispered behind closed doors, but never truly spoken aloud. People might say, she's just tired, or they've been together for too long. But if we're being honest, the truth goes much deeper than that. As time passes, women start to look at their marriages with new eyes, eyes that have seen the weight of years, the silence that settled in, and the imbalance that grew over decades. What once might have seemed small or unimportant now feels like an undeniable presence. It's a cocktail of emotions, grief, anger, disappointment, and yes, sometimes even resentment, that begins to simmer beneath the surface. In this video, we're going to take a closer look at 6 powerful reasons why some women begin to resent or even hate their husbands as they grow older. These aren't about fleeting arguments or minor personality clashes. No, these reasons are rooted in deep, emotional struggles that have quietly built up over time. Unspoken exhaustion, unmet needs, and the weight of a love that over the years wasn't always nurtured in the ways it should have been. If you've ever sensed a shift in your relationship, or wondered why your wife seems different now, you're not imagining it. We're about to explore why the emotional distance grows, and why, for many, it becomes harder to bridge that gap as time moves on. Stay with us until the very end, because the final reason may open your eyes in a way you never expected. This isn't just about relationships. It's about understanding the deep emotional truths that shape how we feel and connect as we age. Let's begin this journey into the heart of an issue many feel but few talk about. Reason 1. The weight of emotional labor becomes undeniable. As women age, something powerful starts to shift in the way they perceive their relationships. What once seemed like a natural part of their role, the emotional labor, the constant effort to keep the family together, now becomes glaringly clear. For years, they've carried an invisible load, and now, with more time to reflect, that weight is hard to ignore. Think about all the small, everyday things that fall on a woman's shoulders. Remembering birthdays, scheduling doctor's appointments, calming arguments, managing the household, planning holidays, and keeping the family connected. It's not just the housework. It's the unseen emotional work that holds everything together. It may have started as a series of tasks she took on with love, maybe even a sense of duty. But over time, that duty turns into a quiet, suffocating exhaustion. The children have grown, and the house has become quieter. And now, with less to fill the day, women start to notice just how much of this emotional labor has been one-sided. The problem isn't that their husbands were cruel or inattentive. No, the issue lies in the fact that their husbands never even noticed. They didn't see the toll it took, the way it wore her down, the emotional investment that she carried alone for so many years. This realization often comes in the 60s or 70s, when time slows down and women have the space to ask themselves difficult questions. Why was I always the one worrying? Why didn't he ever step in and learn to handle these things? And it's not anger or bitterness that fuels these thoughts. It's exhaustion. Deep, silent, long-lasting exhaustion that has been building for decades. Take Carol, for example. She's 74 now. For most of her marriage, she was the one managing everything, remembering to refill prescriptions, planning holidays, smoothing over family tensions. Her husband, Tom, always said, "You're just better at that stuff." But as the years went by, Carol realized that wasn't a compliment. It was a dismissal. He never tried. And now, that realization sits like a stone in her chest. And it's not just Carol. Countless women have carried this emotional weight in silence. And when they finally have the time to reflect, it can feel like the last straw. They don't just feel distant from their husbands, they feel tired of them. Tired of carrying a burden that no one ever saw or acknowledged. This isn't about blame. It's about understanding that emotional labor, when it's not shared or recognized, can slowly erode the connection in a marriage. It's about how one person's constant giving, year after year, can eventually lead to feelings of depletion and disillusionment. And when that imbalance is finally noticed, it can't easily be undone. Reason 2. The slow breakdown of real communication. One of the most painful aspects of growing old in a long-term marriage is the gradual erosion of real communication. It doesn't happen overnight, and that's what makes it so insidious. At first, it's easy to overlook the simple, everyday exchanges. "Did you take your pills?" or "What's for dinner?" These conversations fill the space, and we tell ourselves that everything is fine. But over time, what's missing is what really matters: the deeper connection, the laughter, the meaningful check-ins, the moments of vulnerability when we let ourselves truly be seen by the person closest to us. For many women, especially those in their 70s and beyond, the silence that fills the space can become deafening. It's not that they want endless philosophical debates every night or deep, emotional heart-to-hearts. What they crave is something simpler, but just as vital. To be noticed, to have someone look at them and care about what's happening in their inner world. To hear, "How are you really doing?" Not just in a passing superficial way, but with genuine curiosity. But when that deep personal connection fades, it creates a kind of quiet grief. It's not the loss of a partner, but the loss of feeling seen, the loss of a closeness that once existed. And what's worse, it's the loss of something that used to be there. The silence doesn't speak of peace. It speaks of loneliness. Consider Joyce, who's 79 and has been married to Frank for over 50 years. They sit in front of the TV, eat the same meals, and share the same space. But Joyce can't remember the last time Frank asked how she was feeling. Really feeling. Not about her blood pressure or her joints, but about her heart, her spirit. It's not that she needs poetry or grand gestures. She just misses the simple curiosity, the sense that someone still cares about what's going on inside her. But for Frank, everything seems fine. He thinks they're getting along just fine. No fights, no drama. And yet Joyce feels a painful shift. She feels more like a roommate than a wife. And the worst part? He doesn't even realize it. He's not mean, and he's not deliberately dismissive. But the silence has slowly replaced the warmth that once filled their conversations. When you stop being curious about your partner's inner world, you start to lose the very essence of the relationship. And as the silence builds, so does the distance. It's not about what is said, it's about what isn't. And over time, that void becomes harder and harder to ignore. That emotional disconnect, born of forgotten curiosity and unspoken words, can create an ever-widening gap between two people who once shared everything. It's the slow, painful breakdown of a bond that once felt unshakable. And for many women, this silence becomes unbearable, as they long for the warmth of a conversation that matters, even if it's just about the little things. Reason 3. Unequal caregiving creates silent resentment. As time passes and health declines, caregiving becomes an inescapable part of many long-term marriages. Illness, surgeries, chronic conditions, all of these things shift the balance of a relationship. And often, it's the woman who steps up to care for her husband, without question, without pause. It's a role that many women take on out of love, out of habit, or sometimes out of sheer necessity. But beneath that quiet service, something else begins to stir. Resentment. At first, it's subtle. She simply does what needs to be done. Measuring pills, helping with mobility, scheduling doctor appointments, and cooking meals. She's been doing it for years. After all, this is what love requires, right? But over time, as the burden grows heavier, a quiet, simmering resentment starts to bubble up. And she doesn't always recognize it at first. She just keeps going, doing what needs to be done. But with each passing day, she begins to feel the weight, not just of the caregiving, but of the imbalance. Because deep down, she remembers when she needed support. And it wasn't always there. It wasn't that her husband didn't love her. It's just that, in the past, he never quite showed up the way she did. He didn't notice her needs the way she noticed his. She gave and gave, often without asking for much in return. And now, when the roles are reversed, it's hard not to notice the difference. Margaret, 82, knows this feeling all too well. Her husband, Bill, had a stroke at 76, and since then, Margaret has cared for him every day, helping him bathe, managing his medications, making sure he's comfortable. She loves him, but she's worn thin. What breaks her heart isn't the caregiving itself, but the memory of when she had surgery years ago and asked Bill to cook or clean for just 1 week. He grumbled, complained, and didn't step up the way she needed him to. Now, when she's exhausted, when she needs a break, the weight of that memory comes rushing back, and she can't shake it. This kind of silent resentment doesn't come from the caregiving itself. It comes from the years of imbalance that came before it. It comes from the times when she was strong for him, when she adjusted and compromised, while he stayed the same. In the later years of life, when caregiving becomes the reality, those old memories resurface. They don't come in bursts of anger. Instead, they rise quietly, like the slow buildup of a storm. And it's hard to talk about. Many women feel guilty just thinking it. They wonder, does this make me a bad person? The answer is no. It makes them human. It means they've given a lot, maybe more than their share. And it's okay to feel the weight of that. It's okay to name the imbalance, especially when it's been ignored for so many years. When caregiving becomes one-sided, when one person feels like they've been carrying the weight for far too long, it can create a rift that's difficult to repair. The love is still there, but the fatigue is wearing her down. The resentment doesn't always shout. It whispers, building over the years until it feels like an unspoken truth that can't be ignored any longer. Reason 4. A lifetime without appreciation takes its toll. There's a quiet, invisible pain that builds up over the years when a woman feels unappreciated. It doesn't come from one grand event, but from the countless small moments that go unnoticed, year after year. The daily sacrifices, the behind-the-scenes work, the love given without expectation, these things can go unacknowledged for so long that eventually it takes a toll on the person who has been giving. For many women, this feeling of being overlooked starts to sting more as they grow older. It doesn't mean they need constant praise or recognition. It's not about wanting applause, but about the simple desire to feel seen. Over a lifetime, women do so much that often goes unnoticed. They remember birthdays, they plan family holidays, they manage schedules, they keep the house running smoothly, and they support their partners through thick and thin. And when that work, that constant giving, isn't recognized, it begins to feel as though it doesn't matter. it starts to feel like a duty instead of an act of love. Take Lorraine, for example. She's 77 and has been married to John for over 50 years. She raised 3 children, worked part-time, made every holiday special, and supported John through every job change and family loss. But John rarely said thank you, not because he was mean or uncaring, but because he assumed she would always be there. He didn't notice the sacrifices she made, the emotional labor she shouldered. Now, in retirement, Lorraine is angry, not because of one single thing, but because of a lifetime of being quietly overlooked. And that feeling of being unappreciated builds over time. At first, it might have been enough to hear a thank you every once in a while. Maybe she let it slide, thinking that it was just the way things were. But after decades of giving, it starts to feel less like love and more like being taken for granted. And when love turns into duty without gratitude, it wears a person down. In older age, when women have more time to reflect on their lives, they begin to ask themselves, what did I give, and what did I get in return? And if the answer feels lopsided, if the emotional bank account feels empty, it creates a sadness that's hard to name. Some might call it regret, others might call it disappointment. But deep down, it's a longing to have mattered, not just as a wife or mother, but as a person. When appreciation goes unnoticed, it silently erodes the foundation of a relationship. And over time, that unspoken hurt can lead to emotional distance. It's not about hate. It's about feeling invisible, feeling like all that was given never truly mattered. And when that happens, a wedge forms. A quiet, painful wedge, and it's hard to bridge it after so many years of silence. The lack of appreciation isn't just about the big moments. It's about the daily, ordinary things that matter more than people realize. When these go unnoticed, when they're never acknowledged, it leads to a quiet, growing resentment that can change the dynamic of the marriage forever. Reason 5. The quiet loss of independence and identity. As the years go by, many women start to look back on their lives with a sharper lens. They begin to see all the ways they've given up pieces of themselves, sometimes willingly, sometimes unknowingly. Not because they were forced, but because they believed that this was what love, family, and commitment required of them. Dreams, careers, passions, friendships, and even their own voice were often set aside in the name of family. But as they age, and especially when the hustle of raising children and building a life slows down, the question arises, what about me? When you're younger, there's always something to do. Kids to raise, bills to pay, dinners to cook, a house to maintain. Life is busy, and there's little time to stop and ask yourself, what do I want? What about my dreams? But when the kids leave the house, when the daily grind slows down, that question comes rushing back. And for many women, the answer is painful, because the things they once dreamed of doing, the things they once hoped for, have often been buried under years of compromise and self-sacrifice. Eleanor, for example, is 75. When she was younger, she had a deep love for music. She dreamed of becoming a music teacher, but life had other plans. She married young, raised 4 children, and worked part-time to help with the bills. Her husband encouraged her to stay home when the kids were small, and later told her they couldn't afford music lessons. And so, the dream was put aside. Now, in her quiet living room, Eleanor finds herself wondering what could have been. What would have happened if she had said no just once in a while? If she had chosen herself at least a few times? This feeling is not about blaming anyone, least of all her husband. He didn't stop her with anger or cruelty. He just never asked what she wanted. Over time, she stopped asking too. But now, with time to reflect, the result is the same. She feels like a stranger in her own life, defined more by the role she played than by the person she is. As women get older and they finally have the space to breathe, to remember who they used to be, that sense of lost identity can come with a sense of anger, grief, and even resentment, not just for what was lost, but for how invisible those losses were to the person closest to them. They look at their partner and feel as though their own needs, their own desires, were always secondary. The life they once envisioned for themselves was replaced by the roles they played for others. In old age, many women start reclaiming pieces of themselves. They take up hobbies they once loved. They pursue long-forgotten dreams. They redefine what it means to live for themselves. But this rediscovery can cause tension. The partner who's been used to things a certain way might not know how to handle it. They've grown comfortable in the old patterns, and when their wife begins to change, it can feel like a threat. But here's the truth. When a woman begins to assert her independence again, to remember who she is, she's not being selfish. She's remembering her worth. She's learning to prioritize her own needs, her own desires, and her own life. And that process can be both freeing and painful. Freeing because she's reclaiming herself. Painful because it brings up all the years she spent in silence, in sacrifice, in self-forgetfulness. And for many women, this emotional shift can breed frustration, even bitterness, not because they didn't love their partner, but because somewhere along the way, they lost themselves in the name of love and family. The quiet resentment isn't about the present. It's about what was lost in the past and how it feels to realize that it was never truly acknowledged. As they enter the later stages of life, many women are faced with the question, "Who am I now?" And when the person they've spent decades sharing their life with doesn't know how to answer that, it creates an emotional distance that can feel insurmountable. The emotional cost of losing yourself is heavy, and the journey to reclaim that lost identity can be filled with both joy and sorrow. Reason 6. Different approaches to aging and personal growth. As the years go by, aging impacts everyone differently. For some, it's a time of growth and self-reflection, a chance to reconnect with old passions, discover new hobbies, or deepen relationships. For others, aging can lead to withdrawal, complacency, and a quiet resignation to the passage of time. This difference in how each partner approaches aging can create a divide that becomes difficult to ignore, especially in the later years of life. For many women, aging is an opportunity to reclaim what was put aside. With the children grown and the daily responsibilities less demanding, they have space to explore new interests, to reflect on their lives, and to take care of themselves in ways they hadn't before. They might join a book club, pick up painting, start walking every morning, or travel to places they've always dreamed of. But for many men, retirement and old age bring a kind of passivity. They sink into their favorite chair, watch television, and complain about aches and pains. They stop caring about their health, their appearance, or their emotional engagement with life and the people around them. It's not that they don't deserve rest. They've worked hard their whole lives. But for the women who are still eager to engage with life, still curious and emotionally alive, this passivity can feel like abandonment. It's not about skydiving or taking dance lessons. It's about being present. It's about showing that you still care, that you still have something to offer. When one partner is actively exploring the world and finding new ways to enjoy life, while the other has emotionally checked out, it creates a sense of loneliness, even in the same room. Take Susan, for example. She's 73 and has recently started to embrace a new chapter of her life. She joined a book club, began painting again, and started walking every morning to stay active. Meanwhile, her husband, Richard, spends most of his days in his recliner, watching TV and complaining about his knees. He ignores his doctor's advice, resists any changes to his routine, and shows little interest in anything beyond his familiar, safe world. At first, Susan tried to encourage him to join her in some of her new activities, but he was uninterested, dismissing her efforts as extra rather than essential. Susan doesn't resent Richard for getting older. What frustrates her is that he stopped trying. He stopped meeting her halfway. He no longer makes an effort to stay engaged in the relationship, to connect emotionally, or to care for himself. She feels stuck. She's growing, exploring, and thriving in ways she never imagined possible, but she's doing it alone. And over time, that frustration builds into a sense of abandonment. For many women in this stage of life, aging becomes a second chance, a time to finally pursue their own interests, to find joy in what they've put on hold for so long. But when their partner isn't willing to grow with them, when they've stopped engaging emotionally, it feels like a death of sorts, a quiet, slow erosion of the relationship. It's not just about health or physical appearance. It's about emotional engagement, a willingness to keep trying, to stay present. When one partner withdraws, it's like the other has to carry the entire weight of the relationship on their shoulders. The loneliness is suffocating. It's not about grand gestures. It's about the absence of curiosity, the absence of effort, the absence of the emotional connection that used to be there. For many women, this lack of growth, this unwillingness to engage, becomes unbearable. It creates a wedge that no amount of love or patience can close. As the years pass, women don't just want to be taken care of. They want to feel like they matter. They want to be met with the same curiosity and energy they're bringing to the relationship. And when that doesn't happen, when they realize they're carrying the weight of the relationship alone, the emotional distance grows. It becomes harder to ignore and harder to fix. At its core, this reason isn't about blame. It's about a disconnect between two people who once walked side by side, but now find themselves on different paths. And when that disconnect isn't addressed, it doesn't just lead to frustration. It leads to deep emotional loneliness, even in the presence of the person they love. After exploring these 6 powerful reasons, it becomes clear that the emotional distance many older women feel from their husbands isn't a result of sudden conflict or a single event. It's the cumulative effect of years of emotional labor, silent resentments, unspoken needs, and unacknowledged sacrifices. These feelings don't develop overnight. They grow quietly, like cracks in a foundation, until one day they can no longer be ignored. What stands out most in this exploration is not bitterness or anger, but deep emotional exhaustion. It's the weariness of having carried so much without recognition, the grief of a relationship that has been eroded by years of silence, the loneliness of being in a partnership that no longer feels like a true connection. These reasons are not about blaming anyone. They are about understanding the complexities that arise when the demands of life overshadow the emotional needs of a relationship. It's about recognizing that over time, many women find themselves tired, not of the man they married, but of the emotional work they've carried alone, of the quiet neglect that has slowly drained the intimacy they once shared. But perhaps the most important takeaway is that these feelings don't have to define the remainder of a relationship. Understanding why this distance has grown can be the first step in healing it. It's not too late to reconnect, to rekindle the emotional intimacy that has been lost. It's about finally being seen and heard, acknowledging the struggles that have been quietly carried for so long, and validating those emotions that have never been named. For many women, the pain of unappreciated years and unacknowledged sacrifices is not just a sadness, it's a call for change. It's a chance to look back, reflect, and say, "This mattered, I mattered." And perhaps in that recognition comes the opportunity for both partners to grow, to finally meet each other where they are now, and to find a new way forward. So if you found these insights valuable, take a moment to reflect on your own relationships. What's been left unsaid? What's been unacknowledged? And how can you begin to address it? It's never too late to start that conversation, whether with your partner or with yourself, and to bring light to the emotional truths that have been hidden for far too long. Have you ever woken up to a feeling that lingered? A sensation that whispered to you, almost unnoticed, that something might not be quite right? The quiet mornings, often painted with the soft hues of dawn, can feel like a peaceful reset. Yet, for many of us, these first moments of the day may hold signs that, if left unnoticed, could reveal something much more serious. Imagine waking up feeling an inexplicable weight, a fatigue that no amount of sleep or coffee can shake off. Or maybe you find yourself drenched in sweat, even though the room is cool and the night was calm. Or perhaps, without changing anything about your routine, you suddenly notice that your clothes fit differently, that your body is shedding weight without reason. These are not just minor inconveniences. These are your body's whispers, a language that speaks to us in the quiet moments after we wake up, when our guard is down and we are most in tune with ourselves. It's easy to dismiss these subtle changes. After all, we often chalk them up to aging, stress, or just the passage of time. But what if these early signs, these quiet warnings, were something more? What if they were your body trying to tell you something that could change everything? The difference between early detection and waiting until it's too late. In this video, we're going to explore 5 signs that may appear right after waking up. Signs that could be pointing to an underlying health issue, something as serious as cancer. These signs might be easy to ignore, but the truth is, they hold the power to transform your health journey. Recognizing them early can give you the greatest gift of all: time. Time for treatment, time for recovery, time to live with a sense of control and peace. The goal here is not to instill fear, but to empower you with knowledge. Because when it comes to health, especially as we grow older, the more we pay attention, the more we listen, the better we can protect ourselves. Stay with us, and let's uncover these signs together. Because sometimes, it's the quietest moments that carry the loudest messages. Why these early signs are important. The first moments after waking up are often the most honest. There's no rush, no distractions, just you and your body, quietly speaking to you. It's in these moments that your body can reveal its deepest truths. Truths that may have been hidden beneath the surface, unnoticed or ignored. But why should we pay attention to these early signs, especially when they seem so subtle, so easy to brush off? We live in a world where we are constantly told that aging is synonymous with discomfort, that feeling tired all the time, having night sweats, or losing a bit of weight is just part of getting older. It's easy to convince ourselves that these things are just normal and that we have no control over them. But what if these everyday occurrences are actually signals from our body, trying to tell us something far more urgent? The truth is, ignoring these signs is not just a missed opportunity. It can be a matter of life and death. Many types of cancer grow quietly, without causing immediate pain or noticeable symptoms. It's only when the disease has progressed that we start to feel the full weight of its impact. But early detection can be a game changer. When caught in its infancy, many cancers are not only treatable, but also manageable, giving you a fighting chance to reclaim control over your health and your life. By paying attention to these subtle changes, you give yourself the opportunity to act early, to seek medical advice, and to have a say in your own treatment plan. It's not about living in constant fear, but about being proactive. The more we recognize these signs early on, the more power we have to navigate our health with intention, to minimize risks and to maximize our chances of living a long, healthy life. In this video, we'll walk through the signs that can easily go unnoticed, signs that might seem unimportant or insignificant, but they carry a weight much greater than we realize. Because sometimes, the smallest signals hold the key to the biggest transformations: healthier lives, earlier interventions, and most importantly, peace of mind. Don't let these signs slip by unnoticed. Your health deserves your attention. Sign 1. Persistent morning fatigue that doesn't improve with rest. We've all experienced those mornings where we wake up feeling tired, groggy, or sluggish. Maybe we didn't sleep well, or perhaps we had a restless night. But what happens when this feeling doesn't go away, no matter how much rest you get? What if day after day you wake up feeling more drained, more exhausted, and more detached from your body than ever before? Persistent morning fatigue that doesn't lift, even after a full night's sleep or a cup of coffee, is more than just the result of a poor night's sleep. This kind of exhaustion can be a red flag that something deeper is happening within your body. It's the kind of tiredness that seeps into your very bones, making your limbs feel heavy and your mind dull. You know that nagging feeling, the one where you wake up and it feels like you never slept at all. It's as if your body is telling you that rest alone isn't enough. For seniors, it's easy to dismiss this constant fatigue as a normal part of getting older. But if you're waking up tired day after day, even when you've had ample rest, it could be a sign of something far more serious. Several cancers, especially leukemia, lymphoma, and certain solid tumors, can cause this kind of deep, persistent fatigue. The reason behind this fatigue is that these cancers affect your body at a cellular level. They can disrupt your blood's ability to carry oxygen, interfere with hormone levels, or cause silent inflammation. All of these changes slowly drain your energy without you even realizing it. It's not the tiredness you feel after a long day. It's the kind of exhaustion that doesn't make sense, that lingers even when you rest, and that begins to impact every part of your life. Take Paul, for example. At 74, Paul was an active man. He walked every day, kept to a healthy routine, and rarely complained about his health. But suddenly, he began waking up after 10 hours of sleep, still feeling exhausted. He found himself napping more, skipping his usual hobbies, and feeling foggy in the morning. His wife thought it was just aging, but the fatigue didn't go away. It only got worse. Finally, after persistent urging from his family, Paul went to the doctor. Blood tests revealed early-stage lymphoma. Because they caught it early, Paul began treatment right away, and soon, that heavy draining fatigue started to lift. Not every case of fatigue means cancer, of course. But if you're waking up every morning feeling like you never slept, and nothing you do seems to change it, no matter how much rest, coffee, or exercise you try, it's time to take that seriously. Your body knows when something's off. Don't ignore it. Even if it feels like something small, your instincts can often guide you to the right path. If that fatigue persists, reach out to your doctor. Taking that step could make all the difference. Sign 2. Drenching night sweats. We've all had those nights when the room feels a little too warm and we wake up slightly damp from the heat. A change in temperature, too many blankets, or even a stressful day can cause a bit of sweating. But what about when you wake up drenched, as though you've just stepped out of the shower, even when the room temperature is normal and the blankets aren't too heavy? What if this happens night after night, without an obvious reason? Night sweats, particularly those that soak through your clothes and bedding, aren't just a normal inconvenience. These are not just the sweats you get when the room is warm or during a fever. These are sweats that interrupt your sleep, that leave you feeling chilled once the sweat dries, and that happen consistently without a clear cause. If you find yourself waking up soaked, feeling clammy, and unable to explain why, it's time to pay attention. For older adults, night sweats can be a sign of several types of cancer, especially lymphoma and leukemia. These cancers affect the immune system, which in turn disrupts the body's ability to regulate its temperature. It's not just about being too hot. It's about your body's internal systems going haywire, and it's happening without you being able to control it. Judith, a 76-year-old woman, experienced this very thing. She noticed that no matter what she did, whether she switched to cotton sheets, used a fan, or even opened a window, she would wake up drenched in sweat. She thought it was just a result of aging, or perhaps something related to menopause. But when the night sweats persisted for months, she knew something wasn't right. Finally, she visited her doctor. After a series of tests, she was referred to a specialist, and the diagnosis was early-stage blood cancer. Because Judith had paid attention to those persistent night sweats, she was able to start treatment early, which significantly improved her prognosis. If you're waking up wet from sweat more than once a week, and especially if you can't explain why, this is not something you should brush aside. Track how often it happens. Write it down. And when you see your doctor, don't forget to mention it, even if you feel embarrassed or think it might be nothing. Night sweats might not seem serious on their own, but over time, they can be one of the body's strongest and earliest cries for help. Ignoring them could mean missing the opportunity to detect something far more dangerous at a time when it's most treatable. So the next time you wake up drenched in sweat, ask yourself, is this just a random occurrence, or is it my body trying to tell me something? Sometimes, the most overlooked symptoms are the ones that can save our lives. Sign 3. Unexplained weight loss. For many people, weight loss is something they actively strive for, whether through diet, exercise, or changes in lifestyle. However, there's a stark difference between intentional weight loss and the kind that sneaks up on you, uninvited and without explanation. Waking up to find that your clothes fit looser, your waistband feels too big, or your face appears thinner without any effort on your part can be alarming. At first, it might even seem like a pleasant surprise. Who wouldn't appreciate losing a few pounds, right? But when the weight loss is unintentional, especially without a change in your diet or routine, it could be a sign that something is seriously wrong. And for older adults, it's easy to dismiss this as just part of aging or a minor fluctuation in weight. But when weight loss is unexplained, it's far from harmless. It's a silent signal that something inside your body is out of balance. Several cancers, especially those in the pancreas, colon, stomach, or lungs, can cause unexplained weight loss. These cancers alter your metabolism, affect how your body absorbs nutrients, or cause inflammation that burns energy even while you're resting. The weight loss can happen gradually. First a few pounds, then more, until one day you notice that your pants are too loose, or your face looks thinner in the mirror. But by then, it may be harder to ignore. Consider Henry, a healthy 80-year-old man who'd been eating the same breakfast of eggs, toast, and a banana for years. Over the course of a month, he noticed his pants slipping down his waist more easily. At first, he thought it was nothing to worry about, just part of getting older. But his daughter noticed how thin his neck looked during a visit, and that's when they decided to take action. After some tests, his doctor found early-stage pancreatic cancer. Though the diagnosis was serious, the early detection allowed Henry to begin treatment in time, giving him more options and more time with his family. If you're losing weight without trying, especially if you notice it in the morning when your stomach is empty and your clothes fit more honestly, it's not something to ignore. You may not feel pain or discomfort, but your body is telling you something. Unexplained weight loss, especially when accompanied by a loss of muscle or strength, or a decrease in appetite, should always be taken seriously. Track your weight regularly. Pay attention to how your clothes fit. And don't dismiss these changes as just part of aging. Remember, even if the weight loss seems like a positive thing, it could be a clue that something more sinister is at play. Don't wait for the problem to become more obvious or for other symptoms to develop. Pay attention now and speak to your doctor before it's too late. What seems like a small change could be the first step in catching something that could change your life and your health forever. Sign 4. Persistent morning cough or blood and saliva. A cough is something most of us experience from time to time, whether it's from allergies, a dry throat, or a common cold. We tend to brush it off, especially if it clears up after a few days. But what if that cough doesn't go away? What if it becomes a daily ritual, the first thing you experience when you wake up, and it seems to linger longer than usual? Worse still, what if you begin to notice blood in your saliva when you cough? These may seem like trivial symptoms at first, but they're far from insignificant. A persistent morning cough, especially one that brings up blood, even in small amounts, can be a powerful warning sign. You might chalk it up to postnasal drip, allergies, or simply the dry air. But a cough that doesn't improve, and especially one that brings up blood, should never be ignored. It can be a sign of a more serious issue, such as lung cancer, throat cancer, or esophageal cancer. When cancer develops in these areas, it often irritates the tissues, causing inflammation and sometimes even bleeding. During the night, as you lie down, fluids can collect in the chest and throat. And when you wake up in the morning, your body clears it out, often through coughing. If there's blood in your saliva, it's a clear signal that something is wrong, and it's something you should never ignore. Take Linda, for example. She had been dealing with what she thought was just a seasonal, allergy-induced cough. Every morning she would wake up with a dry, raspy cough that eventually cleared up. But one morning, she noticed a faint pink streak in her saliva. At first, she thought it was a fluke, but the streak persisted. Eventually, she mentioned it to her doctor, who ran a series of tests. The diagnosis came back as early-stage lung cancer. Because she had spoken up and gotten it checked out, Linda was able to start treatment early, which greatly improved her chances of recovery. A cough that brings up blood, or even just a chronic cough that doesn't go away, can be indicative of something much more serious than a simple cold. Even if you've had a history of smoking, allergies, or living in a dry climate, it's crucial to take persistent coughing seriously, especially if it lasts more than 3 weeks or starts bringing up blood. The moral here is simple. Don't ignore a cough, especially if it's different from your usual. It may not seem like a big deal in the moment, but it could be your body telling you to act before it's too late. Speak to your doctor, even if it's uncomfortable, because early detection of lung, throat, or esophageal cancers can make all the difference in the world. It's better to face the truth early than to wait until it's too late. So if you're waking up every day with a persistent cough or noticing blood in your saliva, don't wait for it to get worse. Trust your instincts and take action. Your health deserves it. Sign 5. Lumps or swollen lymph nodes. Felt during morning routines. It's easy to overlook small changes in our bodies, especially when they don't cause us immediate pain or discomfort. But some of the most significant health signs can appear in the quiet, everyday moments we often take for granted. Think about those early morning routines: washing your face, brushing your teeth, putting on your deodorant. These seemingly mundane tasks may offer the perfect opportunity to notice something unusual, something that could save your life. One of the most common yet overlooked signs of cancer is the presence of lumps or swollen lymph nodes that you might accidentally discover while simply touching your body in the morning. These lumps may appear under the jaw, in the neck, armpits, or even near the groin. And because they don't cause pain, they're often ignored, brushed off as nothing serious. But here's the truth. These painless, persistent lumps could be one of the earliest and most crucial signs of cancer. The lymphatic system is part of your immune defense, acting as a filter that traps harmful substances like bacteria, viruses, and abnormal cells. When cancer cells spread, they often find their way to lymph nodes, causing them to swell. Cancer-related lymph nodes are typically firm, fixed in place, and don't go away over time. This is different from lymph nodes that swell due to infection, which are usually tender and reduce in size once the infection is treated. Raymond, a 72-year-old man, had a quiet morning just like any other. While shaving, he noticed a small lump under his chin. It didn't hurt, so he thought little of it and ignored it. However, after a month, the lump didn't go away. It actually got a bit bigger. That's when he finally decided to mention it to his doctor. After tests and a biopsy, Raymond was diagnosed with early-stage non-Hodgkin lymphoma. Because he caught it early, his treatment was much more effective, and he had a smoother recovery. Lumps in the neck, under the arms, or in the groin area are not always caused by cancer, but when they don't go away, they are worth checking out. If you find something unusual on your body, take a moment to really assess it. Is it new? Is it painless and persistent? Has it been there for more than 2 weeks? These are the questions to ask yourself. If the lump doesn't change or get smaller, it's important to consult with your doctor. A simple checkup could be the key to catching something before it grows. In many cases, cancer does not cause pain in the early stages. It doesn't always announce itself with dramatic symptoms. Instead, it can quietly show up as a small lump, a swelling that feels foreign, or a change in the texture of your skin. But by being mindful and intentional during your morning routine, you may just be the first to notice it before it's too late. Don't wait for pain to show up. Trust your body and trust your instincts. If you feel something isn't right, speak up. Your early action could change everything. Taking the time to touch your body with awareness, especially in the early hours of the day, could be the most important step you take toward protecting your health. Notice the changes, keep track of them, and share your concerns with your doctor. The smallest sign could be the one that saves your life. As we close out this video, it's essential to remember that the first few moments of our day, the moments right after we wake up, can hold significant clues about our health. The fatigue that doesn't lift, the sweats that soak through your sheets, the sudden weight loss, the persistent cough, and the unexpected lumps. They may seem small, easy to dismiss, or even normal. But these signs carry a weight far greater than we often realize. They are signals from your body, speaking in the quietest moments, offering you a chance to listen and take action. None of these signs alone are a guarantee of cancer, but they should never be ignored. If any of them persist or appear without a clear cause, they deserve your attention and deserve to be shared with your healthcare provider. Early detection of cancer can make all the difference. It can provide you with more treatment options, a better prognosis, and most importantly, more time. Time to heal, time to live, and time to cherish the moments that matter most. Your body is constantly communicating with you, and it's important to be in tune with its messages. No matter how subtle or easy to brush aside they may seem, these early signs can be the key to catching something before it grows into something much more dangerous. Ignoring them could delay a diagnosis that could be life-saving. So pay attention to the quiet signs in your mornings, and don't hesitate to speak to your doctor if something feels off. You are not powerless in this journey. Your awareness, your observations, and your willingness to seek help are powerful tools in protecting your health. Remember, early detection doesn't always scream for attention. Sometimes it whispers in the quietest moments when you wake up, and it's in those moments that you have the opportunity to take action before it's too late. Thank you for watching, and if you found this information helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more tips and insights. And as always, don't hesitate to share your experiences or thoughts in the comments below. Your voice is important, and together, we can empower each other to take control of our health and live with purpose. Stay aware, stay healthy, and take care of yourself, because you deserve to live your life to the fullest. As we wrap up this discussion, it's important to remember that while these early signs can be unsettling, they aren't meant to cause panic. They are meant to empower you. Empower you to take control of your health and recognize when your body is trying to tell you something. It's easy to brush off symptoms, especially as we get older. But the earlier we listen to our bodies, the better our chances of preventing a much bigger problem down the road. The 5 signs we've discussed: persistent morning fatigue, night sweats, unexplained weight loss, persistent cough or blood and saliva, and lumps or swollen lymph nodes, are not just random occurrences. They are your body's way of asking for attention. When any of these signs persist over time, they're a signal to stop, pay attention, and take action. So if you've experienced any of these signs, don't wait for them to disappear or get worse. Track your symptoms, note any changes, and consult your doctor. Early detection can change the course of your health journey, giving you more time, more options, and more control. Remember, your health is a precious gift, and taking small steps today could make all the difference tomorrow. Don't let fear or uncertainty stop you from seeking help when you need it. You have the power to advocate for yourself and ensure your health is a priority. If you found this video helpful and informative, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue to create valuable content that informs, empowers, and inspires others. And if you've experienced any of the signs we discussed today, we'd love to hear your story. Leave a comment below, share your experiences, or let us know how you plan to take action. Thank you for joining us today. Remember, your health matters, and your body knows best. Stay vigilant, stay proactive, and never underestimate the power of listening to your body. We look forward to seeing you in our next video. Take care of yourself and always trust your instincts.